Hi, this is Muho from Osaka. You might have realized that in January I started giving Zen and Zazen classes on Zoom, hosted by my friend Xuan, a yoga teacher from China who's living close by in Kobe. And during the first class, which took place on January 17th, so it's every Monday, 8 o'clock in the evening in Japan. That would be 12 o'clock in Europe, and it would be the early morning in America. During the first class, I explained about the posture and about some details of the posture. And the following question that I want to talk about today is a question that I received after this class. First, I would like to read the question. One question: why is there this obsession of many Zen practitioners with the posture of the hands? From other traditions, Vipassana for instance, we learn that the position of the hands doesn't really matter. Let me put this as a physicist. The exactly horizontal line across both thumbs, so this line, can only be sustained at very precise conditions which, for me at least, are incompatible with relaxed and open focus. Also, it seems very hard to tell, after some time of meditation, if the thumbs still do touch at all. I was quite surprised to find that although I had been sure they still had contact, my thumbs were essentially horizontal, but didn't touch any more after an hour of meditation. So in summary, if Zazen and Shikantaza mean just sitting, why obsess with the posture of the thumbs if keeping them in the prescribed posture requires doing something? Maybe first about the last question. Some people who are not really familiar with the philosophy of Zen might be surprised or might not understand the question, why should keeping the thumbs in this posture, if this requires doing something, why is there a problem? And the reason why it seems to be a problem for the person who asked the question is because it's often said that in Zazen you're not supposed to do anything. It means just sitting, and not I am sitting, but Zazen is doing Zazen. Zazen is doing the sitting, and I do nothing. So if I am supposed to not do anything, to not even do Zazen, and not to strive after enlightenment, then why should I obsess about the thumbs? The thumbs are usually held like this in Soto Zen. Of course not this height, but you place them on the feet, on your heels if you sit in the lotus posture. Otherwise, you could put a towel on your lap. Usually the thumbs are about the height of the so-called tanden. Tanden is a place that's about 2 or 3 centimeters. That would be about an inch below the navel. In Rinzai, in Japan, sometimes it's just as the questioner here says, they don't obsess so much. So often in Rinzai people sit like this, the hands are like this, they don't obsess about the thumbs. And the reason is exactly because sometimes people tell you there you should concentrate on your koan, and having your mind fixed on the thumbs will not allow you to concentrate on the koan. Although interestingly, about 25 years ago I spent 1 year in a Rinzai monastery, Tofuguji in Kyoto, which is one of the main monasteries there. And the Roshi there told his students to sit like this, so basically Soto style. But that is quite unusual for Rinzai. Usually in Rinzai you don't obsess so much. While I, coming from the Soto tradition and also having trained in Tofugoji, where they sit like this, when I explain about Zazen, I explain it the way it's done in my tradition. But there are at least two different ways I can answer to this question. One short way is, I don't belong to the people who say my way is the only way. So if for you keeping them like this means to obsess too much and it prevents you to be relaxed and open-minded, then, well, you don't have to do it. And if for you Soto style Zen maybe fits less good as Vipassana, you can sit Vipassana style. It's your practice. You have to decide for yourself what works for you. Actually, that topic came up in the Q&A session of the first Zen and Zazen class as well. When I explained about the thumbs, I also mentioned the field of vision, for example. That seems to have nothing to do with the thumbs, but for me it's connected. In Zen we often say that you should keep the eyes half open. But of course, what does that mean? And do I always have to check that they're exactly half open? Of course not. You don't have to worry if they're exactly half open. If you're sitting in a dark room, you can have them completely open if you want to. If it's very bright, you might decide that you want to close them, maybe even completely. Or even if you're sitting in a dark room, you still want to close them. Try it out and try out how it affects your Zazen. Also, if you're sitting with half open or completely open eyes, you can either focus on one point, or you can try to allow your awareness to be aware of the whole field of vision, to rather open up the focus and be aware of everything that you see in front of you. And these are two different things. And when you try both, you will notice the difference. Focusing on one point will help you to be more sharp-minded, maybe, but you're less open. And maybe also you're less relaxed. You will be more tense. While trying to be aware of the whole field of vision will allow you to be more open in your mind. Maybe also it helps you to relax, but it also can lead to more drowsiness and you might become sleepy. So you might want to try both and decide what works for you. And then I said something similar to about the thumbs. If you feel sleepy and you can't concentrate, it's sometimes good to not only keep the thumbs like this, but to actually hold them close to your body and let them touch this tanden point 1 inch below your navel. While if you feel tense and you want to be more relaxed, place the hands a little bit down, a little bit far away from the body. Not too far away, of course, but relax. And then, of course, it can also happen that the thumbs don't touch anymore, or according to the laws of physics, if you don't do anything and you try to completely relax, they go down. But then again, in Zen, we don't aim at complete relaxation. If you would relax completely, probably your jaw would drop. Like you need a minimum of strength, according to the law of physics, to keep your jaw in this position. And nobody in Zen meditation, I think even in Vipassana, people don't sit like this. Although that would maybe help you to relax even more if you sat like that. But you keep your mouth shut. So the fact that there's a certain tension implied when you hold your thumbs like this, even if it's a minimal tension, I don't think that should worry you. Nobody says that you should be 100% relaxed. There's always some tension in the posture. Another thing I would like to say, I don't know about the person who asked this question, but some people seem to suppose that during Zazen your mind shouldn't be bothered by anything worldly, but your mind should be in nirvana. So when your mind is concerned with the posture or with the breath or with the thumbs, it keeps your mind from spacing out and finding nirvana. And that's something that we don't believe in Zen. If your mind is here with the thumbs, and they might not be perfect, but you're aware of the thumbs and you're aware of the whole posture and of the breath, that's good, because your mind is here. So why would you want to relax and open your focus if that means that you have to forget about the thumbs? What's the problem of being aware of the thumbs? Of course, you don't have to sit in front of a mirror and always make sure your minds are straight. And if you're sitting on Zoom, you don't always have to look at the screen and correct your thumbs and worry that they might not be perfect. They will never be perfect. But at least from my point of view, there's nothing wrong with paying a certain amount of attention. And maybe at some point you get to that point where Zazen is really just doing Zazen without you doing anything. But until you get to that point, you have to do something to find the very precise conditions.